Hey guys! Good morning everyone! Good morning to my grade 10 students from Arturus, Castor, Rigel, and Adhara. So this morning, I am going to teach you on the 3 pala, Module 3 for the week number 5 and 6. So it's glad that we resume already our modules, answering your activities kasi na-stop tayo dahil sa work from home yung mga teachers. So, I hope everyone is doing well. So, ngayon, ang gagawin natin, makinig lang kayo. Then, since andyan na sa inyo, hawak nyo ang modules nyo, hawakan nyo habang kayo nakikinig sa video na to. So, I am going to explain all the activities here in your module number 3. So, please listen very carefully. So, of course, in this lesson, in this module, you should know or you should understand the 2 oceanic plates, oceanic continental plates, and 2 continental plates. Let us just have a recap, a review on your previous lesson. Di ba meron tayong tatlong types of plate boundaries. Una is the divergent plate boundary. Pangalawa is the convergent plate boundary, and then the transform fault boundary. I hope most of you natatandaan pa rin kung ano yung anong ibig sabihin ng transform, divergent, and convergent plates. So that's why this morning, ang i-discuss natin is kung paano, anong mga nangyayari if these plates move in this type of plate boundaries. So, tingnan natin kung ano yung mga posibleng mangyari. Ano yung mga geologic activities or geologic events that could happen in this type of plate boundary. Alright, so, yun. So, after going through this module, after going through the activities, ikaw mismo na nanonood, you have to gain knowledge about your expected, that you were able to explain the different processes that occur along the plate boundaries. That is one of the learning objective. Number 2 is name the landforms produced in each type of plate boundary. So later on in your activity, so siguro naman magagawa niyo yun. Alright, so let us start first with what I know. Palagi tayong nag-start. Pag nagkakaroon tayo ng panibagong module, una-una talaga na gagawin nyo is sasagutan nyo yung what I know or the pre-test. So we have here the direction. Please read the direction. Choose the letter. Choose the letter corresponding to the correct answer, and then you write your answer on the answer sheet na binigay ko. Meron, di ba yung module ko na ginawa, meron naka-insert dyan na answer sheet, doon nyo isusulat yung mga answers. Hindi po susulatan yung modules. Okay? So, meron tayong 15, meron tayong 15 item test for the pre-assessment or pre-test on what I know. On page number 4, so our lesson for this is processes and landforms along with convergence of plates. So what's in? You have previously learned that the convection current in the Earth's mantle caused the crust to break into smaller segments. Spaces in between plate boundaries are created. These plate boundaries are named according to the relative movement of the plates with each other. Kasi magre-review tayo para mas lalong maintindihan. Ang mundo noon ay isa lang daw, sabi ni Alfred Wegener. Ang sabi niya na ang mundo noon ay, ang continent noon ay isa lang. As in, one large continent. That's the supercontinent. For example, ang kontinente niyan bulag-bulag. That's why we have the 7 continents, right? So ito, for example, ito yung continent noon, naghiwa-hiwalay siya. That is the continental drift theory. Alright, so next na gagawin natin, next na i-explain ko is yung Okay, so according to the plate tectonic theory na nagkakaroon ng patuloy na pag-move ng mga lupa dito sa ibabaw ng mundo. Patuloy siya nag-move very slowly. We cannot feel the movement because it's very slow. Actually, in every year daw, it's only few centimeters lang ang minumove niya, pero hindi natin nararamdaman daw. So, that is according to the theory. I just don't know if you're going to believe with me or not, diba? So, yun. The plate tectonic theory, habang nag-move ang mga plates, nagkakaroon ng mga spaces. For example, itong plates, imagine na lang itong plates naghiwalay. So, there is a space, there is a gap between these plates, right? Now, yung mga plates ay nagkakaroon ng pagbuo ng mga boundaries. So, ngayon, dito na nangyayari ang mga plate boundaries, okay? So, do you still remember? I just mentioned a while ago yung convergent plate boundary, divergent plate boundary, and the transform fault boundary. So, we have here a question. Which type of plate boundary is illustrated in each of the following figures below? For example, in letter A, there is an arrow towards each other. So what is that type of plate boundary? Answer. Okay, very good. Okay, for letter B naman, the arrow is moving away from each other. So they are moving away from each other. So what type of plate boundary is it? What's the answer? Check. Very good. Okay, so for letter C, the arrows are pointing towards or sliding past each other. So what is the type of plate boundary? The answer is correct. Very good. In A, the arrows point toward each other, so it shows a convergent boundary. So, andyan yung sagot to. With this type of boundary, plates meet or converge. In letter B, the arrows point away from each other, showing a divergent boundary. So, tama yung sagot natin, di ba? Here, the plates separate or move away or diverge, while in letter C, arrows slide past each other, illustrating a transform fault boundary. Alright. So, we're just reviewing our lesson, our previous lessons, if you can still remember. Okay, so let's proceed to what's new on page number 11. Number 5, sorry. So, in your previous lesson, you have learned that the convergence of plates takes place between oceanic and continental plates. Pwede daw siyang mangyari yung convergent. Pag sinabi natin convergent, diba? Yung nag-collide with each other. Now, sa convergent plate boundaries, ang daming pwedeng mangyari. Pwedeng mangyari yun between the oceanic plate and then the continental plate. And then, two oceanic plates pwede din. And two continental plates pwede din. So, there are three type of collisions na pwedeng mangyari sa convergent plate boundary. Study carefully how each type of convergence produces landforms and geologic processes. So, sa pamamagitan ng topic natin ngayon, malalaman natin kung ano yung mga posibleng mabuong mga landforms and geologic events or geologic processes. In Activity 1, ito yung gagawin ninyo. The title of our activity is Convergence between an Oceanic Plate and a Continental Plate. So, sa title pa lang ng activity natin, malalaman na natin, di ba? Convergence, ibig sabihin, nagkakaroon ng convergence ang oceanic plate at ang continental. Yung nasa dagat na plate at yung nasa lupa na plate. Okay? So, dalawa kasi yung yung plate type of plates natin. So, our objective here is to explain the processes that occur along a convergent boundary between an oceanic and a continental plate. See? So, that is our objective. Matanan ating goal para makaarang ka man yan. So, our materials, you should provide half cup of water. So, dapat meron kayong water. Siyempre, marami tayong water sa bahay kasi nasa bahay kayo. The second material that you are going to use is 2 pieces of foam. So, yung foam na gagamitin niyo, yung size dapat is 8 centimeters by 16 centimeters each. So, each foam dapat yun yung size. pag sinabi nating centimeter, if you're going to use the ruler, di ba meron tayong ruler? Sa ruler, meron inches, merong centimeter. Yung mga maliliit na ganyan-ganyan, yung mga guhit-guhit, that is the centimeter. Pero yung mga medyo at distance, yun yung mga inches. Okay? So, susukatin nyo yung mga foam. Ano yung foam? Yung mga yung like sa mga beds. So, if you have that mga unused material, you can use that foam. Alright, so, and of course, a flat surface. So, in our procedure, susundin nyo dapat yung procedure natin. So, number 1, soak. Ano yung soak? Ibig sabihin yung soak, tutunlog ba sa water. Ibababad sa water. Soak half of the length. Ibig sabihin, for example, this is a foam, in foam, and half of the foam, itutunlog niyo sa water. Okay? Now, soak half of the length of one of the foams into the water. Not warm, not cold. Just a natural temperature. Number 2, place it on the flat surface at least 2 centimeters away from other foam as seen below. So you have here the figure. You can follow what's the picture, what's on the picture. So, for example, place on the flat surface. The flat surface, any type basta flat. And then, place it on the flat surface at least 2 centimeters away. 2 centimeters, parang ganyan na yan. So, ganito. 2 centimeters away. And then, after that, number 3 procedure, position the soap part of one of the foams in the middle of the setup. For example, ito yung binasa mo, ito lang. Pero ito hindi dapat dry lang to. Ito, half of this is nabasa ng tubig. Okay, so you are going to position like this and then slowly push. So slowly push down 4 centimeters inward each outer ends of the foams until they overlap. Okay, so ipupush mo daw 4 centimeters inward as in, di ba 2 centimeters na space. Pagduso mo dapat 4 centimeters ang pagduso. Okay? So, slowly push 4 centimeters inward each other of the foams until they overlap. Ibig sabihin sa overlap, mag-overlap, maglungtod. Pag ganyan, for example, yun. Overlapping yun. Alright? So, for number 5, observe what happens on a separate sheet. Draw the final setup and answer the following questions. So, for example, diba, induso na niyo, i-kopyahon mo ito or i-draw mo ito sa papel. Okay? In a separate sheet of paper. And then answer these questions. Which foam curves above the other? Question number 2, how does the water in the wet foam affect its density? If the foams were pieces, which foam curves? Sa number 1 na question, by the way, sorry. Sa number 1 na question, which foam curves above the other? Which foam daw ang nag-curve sa gin-push niyo sila inward? For number 2 naman, how does the water in the wet foam affect its density? Paano naka-apekto yung water doon sa foam? That's the question. For number 3 naman, if the foams were pieces of the Earth's crust, if you're going to compare it, which one is the continental crust? So, ikukuhan mo ito nga mga foam. Hain ko na sa ito nga foam, type of foam na yung magagamit and mag-represent as the continental crust. Alright, for number 4, which foam is the oceanic crust? Okay? For number 5, in the activity, what made the wet foam move under dry foam? Nano ang rason. Yes. Nano ang rason sa wet foam kay nagditula siya sa ilarom sa dry foam. Okay, so that's for question number 5. Answer that in a separate sheet of paper. Okay? So, yun. Alright, so let us now proceed to activity number 2. Convergence between 2 oceanic crusts. So, sa activity natin ngayon, 2 oceanic crusts two oceanic crust ang mag-converge. Now, our objective in this activity is to explain the processes that occur along a convergent boundary between an oceanic and a continental plate. Disregard natin yung objective dito sa activity number 2 kasi dapat explain the processes that occur along a convergent boundary between the two oceanic plate. Hindi dapat continental plate kasi kanina yun. Okay? Now, sunod, ang materials na yung gagamitin is rectangular basin or food tray half filled with water. Planggana or mga container or pero rectangular dapat ang shape. Or butangan balon sa pagkaon or mga Tupperware niyo sa ibalay. Sunod is 2 pieces of foam. The same. Para sa ito ngayon yung gamit. Gagawin nyo sa foam, kailangan the same size, 8 centimeters by 16 centimeters. Then, the next procedure is, ang foam, i-arrange niyo siya, the same sa procedure na sa unang activity. Isa-submerge niyo or ilulublog niyo ang foam dito sa basin na may water. So, ilulublog niyo, then after that, you're going to arrange that the foam 2 centimeters away ang irapagikan. Oras nang kasaniyo na ginhimo activity. Tapos, slowly push 4 centimeters inward. Diba? And for example, this one is the foam, the 2 foams. Ipo-push inward siya dapat 4 centimeters. Aniya pagduso. Okay. Then, number 4 is you are going to observe what happens. Draw on a separate sheet of paper that on the paper that you see in the setup. So, ang final setup sa iyo activity ngayon you can perform. Ido-draw niyo or you can take picture tapos mao na lang iyo i-print if you have printer. Pero kunwara i-draw na lang niyo, sketch lang. Okay? Tapos, after that, you are going to answer the 2 questions. The question number 6 and question number 7. So, in the activity, you should have noticed that one foam move on top of the other. So, pag gimpush diba niyo inward, ang sayop na foam mag on top of the other foam, then, if in the process, the top foam suddenly flips upward, so that some water is pushed forward. So, di ba, pag i-flip, ipo-push. Ang water na didi, mapupush. So, what do you see on the water surface? A tsunami or a ripple? So, answer that question and then you're going to explain why. Okay, for question number 7 last. If the foams were Earth's plates, then they are oceanic crusts. Where one subducts, di ba, nag-undergo subduction, nag-undergo siya bending towards the mantle. An explanation ko sa una if you have listened. And then, explain what happens next when there is subduction. Bago din sa question, you are going to explain nano ang sunod na mangyayari kung nagkakayaon ang mga plates or oceanic plates subduction. Alright, so that is only the 2 questions for the activity number 2 for the convergence of 2 oceanic plates. Okay? Okay, let's continue class sa activity number 3, convergence between 2 continental crusts. So, kanina sa iyo, materials ginbanggit ko, ang duha na foam and 2 whole pieces of any crunchy cracker or bread. So, mayroong kamuduhan na gintunga na bread, then half of that bread sa mga pieces ng bread, i-gulog-gulog niyo sa water. Then, i-arrange niyo sira sa flat surface. Ang duha na bread, dapat nakaharap or nakatouch sa bawat isa. Ngan, after that, ang sunod na procedure, you are going to push the 2 bread slices inward and watch what happens. Dapat ang pag-push niyo sa bread, it should be 4 centimeters inward and pag-push. And then after that, you are going to answer the questions. So we have here only 4 questions. Una, what happened to the colliding parts of the bread? So kinanglan niyo kamo sitong i-take note na observation. And then sa sunod na question, if the crackers were Earth's crust, what landform was produced? Kung halimbawa ang bread nagre-represent as the Earth's crust, nanoan ang mafu-form ng mga landforms? And then sa question number 10, what event will the people reside in nearby places experience and why? And then for question number 11, do you think volcanic eruption is possible to happen? So pwede ba magkayaon sin volcanic eruption kung nagkakayaon sin collision sa mga plates or nagko-converge ang duha na continental plates? And then you are going to explain why. And then para naman sa what is it? So you are going to take note that the arrows in the activity set up are pointing toward each other. So ibig sabihin, when these arrows are pointing toward each other, that only means that these plates are colliding or converging. As you push both outer ends inward, so adididi sa last or sa end part sa iyong mga san foam, san bread, kanina nga yung ginhimo na activity, as you push it towards each other, inward and pag-push, then the dry foam curves upward while the wet foam stays down. So ato kanina nga ginhulos di ba niyo nga foam. And sayo siton nagpaubos. So ibig sabihin nag-undergo siya subduction process. The foams represent an oceanic and a continental crust. So pwede ka mo nga din pag halimbawa talaga nagbabasa ka mo sa iyong module, mababasa niyo nga di parang andito din yung sagot actually sa mga tanong. Ano? Na ang foam kanina nga ay yung himo, nagre-represent siya as oceanic crust and then the continental crust. Of course, as I said, na ang sa oceanic crust, mas denser siya sa continental crust. So, ang tendency sa denser na crust is they are going to bend downward or towards the mantle. Okay. Now, next is they are converging. The continental crust curves upward on top of the oceanic crust due to the lesser density. The oceanic crust, due to its greater density, stays below. So, kaya yung sinabi ko kanina, they are going to bend downward. Analyze the figure below. When an oceanic crust converges with the continental crust, a crack between crusts underwater called dredge. So, pag nag-undergo ang continental crust and then the oceanic crust bending or subduction, nag-undergo siya subduction process, there will be a formation of trench. And one of the trenches that I know here in the Philippines is the Philippine Trench. Ibig sabihin sa trench, it is the deepest part of the ocean. Since the oceanic crust has greater mass, due to the presence of water on it, so its density is also greater. This causes it to dive down or subduct under the overriding plate, the continental plate. Subduction is the process by which a plate dives under a less dense plate. At the mantle, the leading edge of the subducting plate melts or it becomes fluid. It turns into a hot molten material which we call magma. For example, ini nga akon kamot, igkupaan ko sa iyo, igpapaimod, halimbawa, duha na plates, the continental plate and then the oceanic plate. For example, this right hand is the oceanic and this one is the continental. If they are going to converge, the oceanic plate will bend downward. So, ang leading edge sa oceanic crust is, pag ma-reach niya nga to ang pinaka-bottom sa crust, mabe-melt down siya kasi nasa boundary na siya sa mantle. Ano? So, mag-melt siya, may himo siya na magma. Alright, so that is the explanation for this activity. If you are going to analyze and read and comprehend the module, you will really learn about this. So, we have here figure number 1, the convergence of the oceanic and continental crust. Due to the heat in the mantle, the magma builds up a pressure that enables it to push the ground above it. So, dahil kuno sa sobrang apaso, sa extreme temperature dito sa mantle, ang nangyayari is, nagkakayaon sing pag-rise up in ini nga magma. That's why it could reach the Earth's surface. That's why there is a volcanic eruption, because of the too much pressure and temperature underneath. And the column of rising magma is called the mantle plume. Ang agihan san magma, ang tawag sito natin is the mantle plume. When there is a volcanic activity such as an eruption, the ground moves and so an earthquake is felt. Because subduction continues, a group of volcanoes called the volcanic arc. So, ibig sabihin, pag mayroon mga group of volcanoes or may mga series of volcanoes, ang tawag na natin since ito is volcanic arc. It is formed at the surface of the continental crust, along the boundary where the two crusts converge. Kung diin ko no nagkakayaon sin converging of these plates, now, doon nagkakayaon sin formation sa volcano, series of volcanoes. Alright? So, I hope you understand, class. So, by the way, class, I have here a Coke float. You can buy, you can PM me if you want to order. Marasa, promise. Let's just have a break. Sarap. Parang gusto mo ulit. Parang gusto mo ulit. Super yummy. Okay? Alright, so the movement of the ground may cause a disturbance in the ocean. The water may flip or kick upwards to a few meters high. So this is what we call tsunamis, a Japanese term for harbor wave. This event is very dangerous when it moves inland, destroying lives and property. Kung nagkakayoon tsunami, kung nagkakayoon sin convergence of these plates. For example, nag-earthquake, kayoon sin earthquake, then these plates are converging, they are moving towards each other, they are going to collide with each other. For example, an akon hand, ini nga akon hand, this is the continental plate and this is the oceanic plate. When these plates are moving towards each other, suddenly nga magkuan siya, mag-move. Pag-move sin siton, pag-move sa continental plate, di ba ang continental plate, it's always sa igbaw. Pag-move niya upward, ang water na madidisplace siya kasi madudusog siya sa continental crust or continental plate. That's why magkakayaon sin tsunami. Okay? So, ganun yun. Pag anduha na oceanic plate or oceanic plate and continental plate magkayaon sin earthquake, magbungguay, ang denser, ang oceanic plate, permanente siya magpapaubos, ang continental plate, permanente siya magpapabawbaw. Now, kung magkikiwaan tuna, pag move sa continental plate, pabawbaw, sakob ang water na dako. Okay? So, that's why magkakayaon sin huge amount of water ang tinatawag na natin ito na tsunami. That is a Japanese term as harbor wave. Okay? So, yun po ang nangyayari, yun po ang posibleng mangyari kung nagkakaroon tayo ng convergence of oceanic to oceanic plate or oceanic to continental plate. May only what ginsugad ng mga shallow earthquake, mga mababaw lang ang mga earthquake. So wala ito nangyayari nga subduction, no volcanoes nga mapo-form, no tsunami. So ang mapo-form lang since ito is mga fault line, mga cracks. So ito nga mga crack fault lines na. And then after this, you are going to answer the activity what's more on page number 9. So there are only 9 questions here. Then you are going to answer write your answer on the answer sheet na binigay ko. So merong 6 item na may choices. So you're going to choose the best answer. And then the remaining 3 questions, may nakabutang at itong sa answer sheet na blanco dito ni isurat. And then, so what I have learned, I think this is the last part. Yeah, last part na ito. So ito, in the last part, there are also 15 items here. You are going to fill in the blank with the correct word found in the parenthesis. So mayon kita nga da, babasahon nito niya nga da nga mga paragraphs. Then may mga choices. You are going to choose the correct word. So that it would para makumpleto niyo ang paragraph. Okay? So yun. That's the end of the week number 5. Kasi ang continuation sinsine, ang ipapasa niyo sa Friday, ang week 5 la na answer sheet. Kasi continue niyo, ang module, didala mo na sa iyo, only the answer sheet. Tapos, ang answer sheet na week 6, iulit niyo sa next week pa. Okay, so yun. Okay, so that's the end. So goodbye. If you have some questions, please PM me or chat. Okay, bye. So yun lang muna for now. Okay, bye.